everyone, my name is Keith Bowler and I am a student in Psych 4472 or History and Psychology. And today I'll be discussing the idea of laws of association, and later on I'll also be discussing how the laws of association relate to empiricism. Our current chapter kind of talks about empiricism a little bit, so I wanted to kind of tie that in. So the laws of association teach that all knowledge is acquired by learning. That's basically in simple terms what it is. It was created by Aristotle in 300 BC, and basically one of the main ideas of the laws of association is how it focuses on recalling rather than remembering. There's a distinct difference between these two, or at least in Aristotle's eyes there were. So recalling is more of a mental search for a past experience, while remembering is more involved with a spontaneous recollection for a past experience. So he wanted to focus more on this idea of recalling because this whole idea is focused on that mental search for that experience. So these ideas of the laws of association also ended up becoming the basis of learning theory for 2,000 years. And even learning theories today kind of use the laws of association as a foundation of their theories today. So there are 4 different theories for the laws of association, which I will go over briefly. So we have the law of contiguity, which means thinking of something while also thinking of experiences along with that thing. We have the law of similarity, which is when we think of things, we tend to think of things similar to that thing. The next one kind of contradicts the last one. We have the law of contrast, which is when we think of things, we tend to think of things opposite to that thing. And lastly, and this one's the most important, we have the law of frequency, which is the more often we experience something, the stronger that association becomes. A good example of this last law of frequency is understanding thunder after lightning. When we experience thunder after lightning enough times, we often will associate thunder with lightning. So when we experience lightning, we associate thunder to be right after. So like I said earlier, I'll discuss how these laws of association kind of relate to the ideas of empiricism. And one of the most important figures when it comes to empiricism is a man named David Hume. And before we go into this, the definition of empiricism is knowledge created from sense experience. So it's pretty similar to the idea of laws of association, but just kind of a twist to it. So, David Hume, his studies were heavily inspired by the laws of association. So, these laws of association, really just, for the most part, they created the foundation. Kind of like how I discussed earlier, how for 2,000 years, the idea of the laws of association created the foundation of learning theories. This idea created the foundation of this theory that David Hume came up with. So, one of the ways that Hume saw these laws of association, he referred to them as a gentle force, meaning that they create certain relations as opposed to others. So, David Hume's ideas resembling the laws of association is that he created 3 laws of his own related to empiricism. So we have the law of resemblance, which is our thoughts lead from one idea to a similar idea. Then we have the law of contiguity, which is basically the same as the law of contiguity that we discussed earlier, recalling other objects at the same time as another. And then lastly, we have the law of cause and effect, and this is the most important law out of his 3. He says that when we consider an outcome, we think of events that precede that outcome. This is kind of the basis of his entire study. So that's kind of how the laws of association apply to modern day. And we discussed earlier how the laws of association kind of create the foundation of studies today, and how they kind of tie into empiricism, and how David Hume kind of saw this idea of the laws of association. So from here, I kind of added in a few examples relating to media and entertainment and just everyday things. From our understanding, experiences create memories that we can learn from. So for example, I used music as an example. I'm very passionate about music. A good way to think of it is, let's say you're at a party of some sort and you hear a song that just everybody's singing to and everybody's having a good time. And later on in life, you hear that song and all you can think of is that memory. It's a good way to kind of consider these ideas of laws of association. We associate that memory with the music that we heard. And so we use that as kind of like a learning experience, kind of for later on in life and how it kind of influences our everyday behavior. And I just included a few other things here. We have novels, movies, and the reason I included here everyday items and grocery items, kind of the same idea as music and novels and movies. Like sometimes we'll see these items and it will just remind us of these memories, and we kind of just associate them with these memories and we use them as learning experiences. So that's kind of how it applies to everyday life. And that's about all I've got. I hope you learned a lot today, and I hope I kind of gave you a better understanding of the idea of laws of association. Thank you so much.